Hello YouTube, this is Ryan here with Clown. Just here to talk a little bit about the first book that I'm going to do a review of. This is not the review video. Uh, I've started reading the book, but I haven't gotten very far in it. I haven't really spent a lot of time with it yet, and I'm kind of a slow reader. So anyway, to introduce the book, it's called In the Theater of Consciousness, The Workspace of the Mind by Bernard Baars. And I actually have one of my close friends was edited one of his other books, not this one. But this one's basically an introduction to consciousness studies. Anyone that's interested in stuff like the philosophy of the mind, cognitive neuroscience, and cognitive psychology. This is the book that will really, from what I've heard, it's one of the best introductions to the field. And it's written in plain, intelligible English. So, don't really have too much to say about it yet. But if you're interested in hearing about the book, I'll post more videos as I go through it. Basically, what I intend on doing, depending on the book I'm reading, some books I'm sure I'll just do one review video, the more, I guess, simple or basic kind of books. But anything that's a little bit dense in its material, I think I'll probably do a few videos, maybe just discussing the ideas or maybe going through it section by section. Let me know what you think would be the best route or avenue to take with that. Anything from you, Clown?
Well, let's talk about Bernard Baars in general, his works or his writing per se, and why you think it's a good start to look into his books, or why you think his theories or his writings are an interesting thing to get into as compared to other writers that are talking about the same thing.
Well, I don't have too much familiarity with the field of consciousness studies, but I know that he is a major name in the field. And I know one of his other books had a very glowing review by Daniel Dennett. I don't know if any of you may know who he is, but he is considered basically the top dog in the field as far as more so as a philosopher of the mind. But there's a great deal of, not to get away from your question, but there's a great deal, just to explain to the viewers, that there's a great deal of cross-pollination, especially when it comes to consciousness studies as far as the science is concerned, the neuroscience, as well as the philosophers of the mind. There's a lot of correspondence between them. They're pretty tightly connected. And this, as far as Bernard Baars, like I said, he's widely acclaimed as one of the top men of the field. However, the reason why I'm really choosing this book instead of others or any of his other books is basically it's an introduction. And like I said, although I have a friend who was an editor for him and knows a lot about this kind of stuff, I haven't really had a lot of conversations to deepen and broaden my interest in it with my friend. So this will really, I think, get my foot in the door as far as that's concerned. Now, if it really piques my interest and I really get stoked about this, maybe I'll read more books in the field by other writers, as well as some of his other books that are a little bit more scholarly or a little bit more difficult, I would say. However, for now, I'll just stick with this. I've started reading it, like I said, and I really enjoy his style, his prose style. He's very clear. He explains things very well. Difficult concepts he breaks down in layman's terms. That's not at all like I found in some popular science writers like Steven Pinker. who I'm not a fan of because I feel like he condescends. Same thing to an extent with Richard Dawkins in The Selfish Gene and some of his other books. I feel like, well, some of his, I guess, more popular books, I feel like they're a little bit condescending, but I don't really get that from Bernard Bars. So, any other questions or
Now,
thoughts?
when we're talking about condescending as far as other writers, define why you feel or relate to in a form of way of which it becomes a condescending factor as opposed to philosophers or writers or someone who studied in the field of the mind or the consciousness of the brain. And why should, your opinion, the viewers become intertwined with wanting to be intrigued by the philosophy of the mind or the brain, or what you think it can be, what they can gain out of that, or the knowledge that they can accumulate from it, or to that knowledge?
Okay. So to try to touch on a little bit of your question, which I think, it really touched on a few different things, and that is, well, first of all, as far as the condescension is concerned, I guess it's the feeling you get from certain books, the way they're written. It seems like they are consciously talking down to you or dumbing down what they have to say in order, or repeating themselves 500 times the same thing in different words, like in the case of The Selfish Gene. If any of you have read that, it's a little bit irritating how much he repeats himself as if you can't really grasp what he's saying. Now, I can't say that this book's not going to have any of that, but so far it hasn't. But there are plenty of science writers, plenty of philosophers who write for a general audience that don't do that and do a really, I think, stellar job. I don't know if any of you have read any of Brian Greene's books, like The Elegant Universe, but he does a very, he does a very admirable job with his material, which of course is very, at the highest levels, is very, very abstruse, being stuff like string theory and relativity and all of that. But getting to the second part of your question, if you could refresh my, what you might gain from a book like this,
and why you want to study this, and
okay,
what would draw or intrigue them to want to learn about this or understand this or become intertwined with it, per se.
Okay, so essentially, I think that, at least for me, and I'm sure for many others, consciousness is a very...
abstract word?
No, it's a very intriguing subject, because when we think about, human beings, we have, it's one of the big questions ultimately, I think, and it's one of the questions that a lot of scientists and philosophers think is a big question, and that's, how does consciousness emerge? How do we have consciousness? What does it mean to have consciousness? There's so many things about consciousness and the mystery of consciousness that's beginning to be unraveled, that I think a lot of people would find very interesting or fascinating. Maybe not every viewer, obviously. It might not be something that really resonates with you, but I think it does for most human beings.
So, consciousness, in defining the term from a normal human being's perspective instead of the more intellectually minded individual, to them, would it mean, as far as consciousness, breaking it down perhaps, or per se, would be as if understanding why our consciousness runs the way it does, or understanding why our brain reacts to certain things differently, or to other things as opposed to not? Is these some of the things that comes with studying the philosophy of the mind and the understanding of the consciousness of the brain?
Yes, they are. Those are certain topics that are covered within the scope of consciousness studies.
I don't think I have any more questions. Do
Okay.
you?
I don't have anything else that I really feel the need to
Elaborate on?
discuss or give any kind of exposition on, but
Well, just so y'all know, back at the channel, second day back. Like, subscribe, hit the comment section. Definitely let us know what you think on the philosophy of mind. If you have questions, concerns, or anything of that knowledge, definitely hit the notification bell so you can stay posted on what's going on, what's happening. Other than that, I don't think we have anything else, do we?
nope, not at the moment. So
Well, this is Ryan Clown, and I will be posting a video probably maybe next hour, 2 hours or so from my current time, Eastern Standard Time. I know some of y'all being in the UK and the other countries is different, but definitely let us know, and we will definitely be uploading. Catch y'all later.
bye.